WWE finds itself once again in a familiar and frustrating position with John Cena, and the situation is beginning to mirror some of the same missteps that plagued the company during the final years of his original full-time run. This time, the problem is not about Cena's dominance at the expense of rising stars, but rather about the misuse of one of the greatest draws in wrestling history at a critical moment in his farewell run. The announcement of John Cena versus Logan Paul for Clash in Paris has already generated polarizing reactions from fans, and the criticism largely stems from the idea that WWE is wasting an incredibly rare opportunity to put Cena in meaningful matches against legendary opponents who could create lasting moments. This concern becomes even sharper when one considers that just weeks earlier at SummerSlam 2025, Brock Lesnar made his shocking return and attacked Cena, a setup that almost any wrestling mind would see as the foundation for a major match. Instead of building toward that, WWE has pivoted to a celebrity match that feels more like a social media stunt than a chapter in Cena's storied career. The Cena vs. Logan Paul booking encapsulates WWE's recent habit of prioritizing spectacle over substance, often to the detriment of long-term storytelling. Logan Paul is undeniably a gifted athlete and one of the better celebrity wrestlers WWE has ever had, with matches against Seth Rollins and Ricochet, proving he can deliver in the ring. However, the choice to place him in the position of being one of Cena's final opponents is questionable when considering the depth of talent and the number of potential dream matches still available. Cena's retirement run should be built on bouts that cement his legacy, give closure to long-running rivalries, and offer fans a sense of finality with peers and greats who share his era. Instead, WWE is framing this as a viral match that appeals to casuals while neglecting the hardcore fan base that has followed Cena for 2 decades. This strategy risks leaving the long-term audience feeling ignored and further erodes trust in WWE's commitment to meaningful storytelling. The Brock Lesnar factor makes WWE's decision even more puzzling. Lesnar's return at SummerSlam 2025 was one of the night's most talked about moments, and his physical assault on Cena was a shocking throwback to their history. The two last faced off in a high-profile match at SummerSlam 2014, where Lesnar famously demolished Cena in one of the most dominant main event performances in WWE history. Revisiting this rivalry at the tail end of Cena's career would have been an instant box office draw, tapping into over a decade of history and presenting a true final battle between two of WWE's most marketable stars. Moreover, Lesnar himself is at a stage in his career where big matches are limited, so pairing him with Cena now makes perfect sense from both a business and storytelling standpoint. WWE could have easily set this up as a headline match for Clash in Paris or saved it for a massive stadium show like Survivor Series or WrestleMania, making the bout feel like a genuine clash of titans rather than a missed opportunity. The problem with pivoting to Logan Paul is that it sends a clear message about WWE's priorities. Viral moments and crossover appeal outweigh legacy preservation. Logan Paul brings millions of social media followers and mainstream coverage, but Cena's draw has never relied on celebrity rubs. He is the celebrity rub. The idea that Cena needs Logan Paul to make his farewell run relevant is not only misguided but also somewhat insulting to Cena's career. It ignores the fact that Cena's name still sells tickets worldwide and that, when booked properly, he can still deliver matches that captivate fans of all ages. By placing him against Logan Paul, WWE is essentially treating Cena like a supporting character in his own farewell, a prop in someone else's brand expansion, rather than the protagonist of his own final act. Another layer to this problem is timing. Cena has repeatedly said that his retirement is near, and his 2025 run could very well be his last extended stretch in WWE. With so little time left, every match matters, and each one should feel like a chapter in a carefully constructed narrative arc. WWE had the chance to craft an emotional, career-defining sequence of matches for Cena, starting with his clash against Roman Reigns years earlier, continuing through bouts with longtime rivals like Randy Orton, Edge, or even CM Punk if circumstances allowed. Bringing Lesnar into the mix was the perfect way to create a late-stage rivalry that could escalate into a major send-off. Instead, they have derailed that momentum for a short-term attention spike with Logan Paul, which could end up being a one-off that contributes little to Cena's overall legacy. Constructive criticism here must focus on WWE's lack of long-term vision for Cena's final run. The booking should have been anchored by meaningful rivalries that span history and carry emotional weight. Lesnar's attack should have been followed immediately by promos, video packages, and segments building up the gravity of their unfinished business. WWE could have leaned heavily into the idea that Cena has never truly avenged his humiliating loss to Lesnar in 2014, making this potential rematch a decade in the making. The marketing practically writes itself. One last fight, one last chance to rewrite history. That kind of story would not only engage hardcore fans, but also bring back lapsed viewers who remember the original bout. The reality is that Logan Paul, as talented as he is, lacks the history with Cena to make their match feel like a must-see in the context of Cena's retirement. Yes, Paul will bring his own fan base, and the match will likely be athletic and well-produced, but it will lack the emotional depth that defines great farewell matches. WWE had the chance to make Cena vs. Lesnar a tentpole event, possibly even pairing it with another marquee match, to make Clash in Paris feel like a historic card. Instead, the company's decision communicates a belief that spectacle is enough, even when it comes at the cost of meaningful storytelling. A better booking strategy for Cena in 2025 would have been a structured farewell tour with clearly defined goals and escalating stakes. After Lesnar's attack at SummerSlam, Cena could have faced a gauntlet of opponents leading up to their eventual rematch. This would allow WWE to showcase Cena's versatility, give rubs to younger talent, and still deliver the massive Cena vs. Lesnar payoff. In between, Cena could have shared the ring with legends like Randy Orton or Seth Rollins, building to a final match that truly encapsulates his legacy. Instead, WWE's current approach feels disjointed, reactive, and overly concerned with chasing headlines in the moment. From a fan perspective, this mismatch between potential and reality is frustrating. People want to see Cena's career honored with matches that feel significant. The Clash in Paris match with Logan Paul may draw eyes, but it is unlikely to create the kind of lasting image that fans will look back on in 20 years as a defining Cena moment. This is a problem WWE has created before, particularly in the final years of The Undertaker's career, where questionable booking choices diluted the impact of his farewell. They risk doing the same with Cena if they do not pivot quickly to a plan that focuses on substance over spectacle. The irony is that WWE knows how to book emotional farewell arcs when they want to. Ric Flair's 2008 retirement storyline was a masterclass in building drama, respect, and anticipation. Each match felt important, and the final showdown with Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania remains one of the most emotionally charged moments in wrestling history. Cena's farewell should be getting that same treatment, but so far, the booking has lacked that level of care. The Logan Paul match feels like an exhibition, not a climactic chapter, and that is a failure of creative vision. Brock Lesnar's return at SummerSlam should have been the catalyst for that kind of year-long arc. It was the perfect moment to ignite a rivalry with clear stakes. The idea that Cena must face the one man who completely dismantled him in the past before he hangs up his boots. That history offers natural drama without needing excessive gimmicks or contrived angles. It also pairs two names that mainstream media will cover without extra promotional gimmicks. Instead, the feud was left dangling, with no follow-up segments to build anticipation. For a company that thrives on episodic television, failing to continue the Lesnar-Cena confrontation on the following episodes of Raw and SmackDown was a glaring misstep. Another consequence of this booking approach is the perception that WWE is over-relying on celebrity involvement to sell premium live events, even when it undercuts organic wrestling narratives. Logan Paul is undoubtedly a draw for a certain demographic, but placing him opposite Cena at this stage shifts the spotlight toward Logan's brand rather than Cena's legacy. This is especially problematic when Cena is in what could be his final act, a time when every storyline should center him as the emotional and narrative anchor. WWE's decision effectively turns Cena into a guest star in his own send-off, which is a strange and counterproductive use of one of the most loyal company men in its history. The potential consequences of this mismanagement go beyond just one match. If WWE continues down this path, the final image fans have of Cena could be disconnected from the rivalries and storytelling threads that defined his career. Compare that to someone like Shawn Michaels, whose retirement against The Undertaker in 2010 was not only a wrestling clinic, but also the culmination of a multi-year story. That match left an enduring emotional imprint because it was tied to the heart of both men's legacies. Cena, in contrast, risks ending his in-ring career with a collection of loosely connected bouts that may be exciting in the moment, but lack cohesive meaning when viewed as a whole. From a creative standpoint, WWE should be structuring Cena's remaining matches in a way that each opponent represents a different chapter of his career. Brock Lesnar could serve as the unfinished business chapter. Randy Orton could represent the long-time rival chapter, and perhaps a younger talent like Cody Rhodes could embody the passing of the torch moment. By mapping this out and making it public, WWE would generate excitement for each match, as fans would know exactly where they are in Cena's farewell journey. This kind of transparency also builds trust with the audience, as it signals that the company values the legacy of its performers enough to give them a properly constructed exit. Even from a business perspective, relying on Logan Paul as the primary hook for Clash in Paris when Brock Lesnar is actively available seems like a misallocation of resources. Lesnar-Cena could easily headline a stadium show in Europe, which is something WWE has historically struggled to accomplish outside of major annual events. Pairing them would have driven significant ticket sales, boosted Peacock subscriptions, and delivered a storyline that both casual and hardcore fans could rally behind. Instead, WWE is betting on Logan Paul's reach to carry the event, which may generate headlines but is less likely to create the kind of lasting fan engagement that results in long-term brand loyalty. The risk WWE faces here is not just squandering Cena's final matches, but also eroding the emotional currency that makes these farewell runs special. Wrestling thrives on moments, the kind fans remember decades later and rewatch countless times. Those moments are rarely born from one-off celebrity matches. They come from deeply personal rivalries, dramatic stakes, and stories that resonate beyond the ring. Cena versus Logan Paul might trend on social media for a weekend, but Cena versus Brock Lesnar would be replayed in video packages for years, as a defining moment in both men's careers. The choice between the two should have been obvious. To fix the John Cena problem, WWE needs to reframe his remaining time as a limited, precious resource, rather than a marketing tool for celebrity integration. They should protect Cena's appearances, make each one count, and align them with opponents who have the history, credibility, and star power to match his stature. Brock Lesnar's return provided a golden opportunity for that kind of booking, and it is still not too late to pivot toward it.